What's up, YouTube? My name's Anthony. I own Mountain Metal Mobile Welding, and today I'm going to be doing a unboxing and a short product review and an install of the ZXR 3500 Badland Winch from Harbor Freight. I don't know what the difference between this one is and the old version. I had the old version, made some mistakes with it, and effed it up. Today we're going to go ahead and get this one open and then get it on the application I'm using it in, which actually is traditional. So I'm also going to be showing you how to wire the winch up without wiring in the handlebar control, which they kind of try to make that a necessary thing in it. But I figured out a way past it, and I'll show you how I did that. Alright, so initially in the box here, pop it open. Of course you got your manual, some cardboard, and this looks like the ground cable. This is the plug for the wireless remote with the connector that I have here. This goes to the wireless remote kit. I don't know if the Badland original one will work with this one, but we're going to find out. Here is your handlebar switch. We don't need that. And then here is the traditional remote. I kept the other one because, hey, why not, right? I didn't say nothing when I returned it. And then your winch mount plate, I already have one from the other machine we had it on. I have another miscellaneous cable, the yellow one, got a blue cable. We have the red cable here with the fuse box, the circuit breaker. The last time I got one of these winches, which is about roughly a year ago, it did not come with this box, and it became a real hindrance. The reason the winch broke was because I grounded the circuit breaker out on accident on a piece of metal. But anyway, there's that. The roller, which we won't be using because I have the synthetic rope and the appropriate roller to go along with it. And we have our hardware. And then in this one, they're going to include some a D-ring in this kit, which is cool. I mean, I probably won't use it, but I'll probably hang on to it. And then, of course, your hook, which we will use for sure. All right, and then what else do we got in here? I think this is the little red strap doodad, and then I forget the name for this thing. It's a, what do you call this thing? It's like a fuse block, basically. You put your different connections in here. It puts power to the, what you want. You basically have a power in, a power out, and a ground on it. We'll mount that up too. And then, of course, the winch itself, which we will be pulling this steel cable off of it. Because we have the synthetic cable kit. So there you have it, folks. Looks pretty sweet. Looks like a decent coating on it. I mean, for the money too. I think these things are like $140 or something like that. $149. But it was a great winch in the application I was using it in. I have it mounted actually on a set of skid steer forks. I used it for rolling and pulling things towards me. We'll get into that, into deeper explanation in a different video. But for now, we're just going to concentrate on the winch, mounting the winch, and I'm going to show you kind of how I had it wired into the machine, because like I said, it was on a skid steer. So I kind of modeled it after a quick connect system that you would have with a hydraulics system, but instead I just use quick connects from a welding application, which obviously I'm familiar with. All right. So here's what we'll be mounting the winch to. Like I said, it's a fork system for a skid steer. We'll get into that in a later video. But there's the mounting plate. There is the little breaker doodad plate. Another mounting bracket I already made, and then the mounting bracket for the wireless controller. Our quick connects are down there, where we hook the actual winch and give it power. That goes back to the machine's battery. Not the safest way, but just the ground is exposed. The positive is covered up. I'm gonna go ahead now, and I'm gonna go ahead and put the bolts in this thing, get it mounted up. This might not be the first step for you, but for me, I mean, this seems to work fine. right, and now that I've got the winch all bolted on, I already have my roller plate, I guess you'd call it, the where the synthetic goes through. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unspool it, put it on free spool. I will say now, one of the things I've already noticed about this winch, the free spool versus the old version is much stiffer. Maybe that's because it hasn't been used yet, I don't know, but the free spool is definitely a lot stiffer, that's for sure. Much more difficult. I mean, the other one I could turn with no problem, and this one's giving me a little trouble trying to get it turned around so I can get the retainer bolt loose. I'll go ahead and get a video of that in a second. All right, once you free spooled your winch, you go ahead and unlock the locking nut. I'm gonna go ahead and do that now, and then I'll show you it out, I guess. And then you go ahead and just pop that bad boy out, and then your winch is free of the original line. I'm not gonna be using the handlebar control. I'm gonna be using just the either wireless control or the control that came with it. So what I'm gonna do, because I don't need that much length of cord, is split it right there. I'm gonna go ahead and split that and then run it into here. And because I'm eliminating all that, I'm also gonna eliminate the red wire that goes to the ignition that gives power to, I would assume, the controller. I'm just gonna go straight into the power source that comes from this through this, instead of straight to the ignition. That should work fine. If not, we'll just regroup and try something else. We're gonna go ahead and reuse the two small ones. I don't have any of these, but I do have a new big one, loop. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and just clip this right here, because that's plenty of slack for me. Clip it right there. Rubber, some good Chinese rubber there. I'm gonna have to get a razor blade. So just take it, be careful if you're gonna do this with a razor blade. You don't wanna split into those wires. I just kind of roll it around and apply a little bit of pressure. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you also don't, like I said, you don't wanna cut into those wires. Fail. Put that down in my first on-camera fail. Certainly not my first fail in life. And then I did split into the wires a little bit. That'll be okay. There you go. Some sort of powder shit. Probably anthrax. No problem. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and put them wires with our nipper. All right. So I'm gonna trim these back a little ways because the other ones we're going to splice, and the splice is going to be right in there. So we'll trim those back a ways. And we'll go ahead and we'll strip each of these, starting with our red one. This one's getting a brand new thing. I believe it looks like it's 16 gauge wire. Yep, 16 gauge. Real thin stuff, real thin stuff. Okay, make sure you get a pair of these strippers. These things are great. Got these out of a garage sale. So we'll just give then again, just go, oh, not that far apparently. Okay, there's another one. Another one, and then one final one. Okay. All right. So we got all of our wires stripped. Have these cut back a little further, like I said, because we're going to do splices on those. This one's getting a new joint. I'll go ahead and get back to you guys after I get that. All right, so I went ahead and I got everything crimped up. I always use these shrink wrap crimps or wire connectors. They're my favorite. Just because you got a good connection, and I use, of course, a good set of lineman pliers, crimping pliers. You just go ahead and heat shrink that, and then you see they suck down fairly quick. I mean, It's no race. All right, and that's it. Just let them cool down, because they will be hot. You see how much they got sucked down. Great wire crimps. You can see the, if you look real close there, you can even see they melted to the crimp there. You know, see that? Yep, it's actually melted on. We're gonna put them back in our holder. And this is where we're gonna put our wireless control as well as our plug-in control, if we go that route. I mostly use the wireless control for the application I'm using this winch for. And then I already had the original one self-tappered in there, so I'm just gonna go ahead and re-screw my self-tappers in. Get those back in there, and then that's on there just like that. All right, I'm gonna get the rest of the wires hooked up, and then I'll show you what that looks like. It's pretty self-explanatory because everything is pretty much color-coded on this thing. They've pretty much taken all of the thought out of this. And then if you have a wireless remote, you can see I have mine mounted back here, my receiver. Just go ahead, take that under, plug it in front. All right, so it's pretty self-explanatory. Yellow to yellow, blue to blue, then back here. And then now all we have left is our black and red connections. So obviously our negative and our positive. I'm gonna go ahead and take that start connection that's supposed to go to your ignition, and I'm gonna wire that right in to the power source. So that way, when you go ahead and you hit the trigger, it'll just work all the time. This is just power. Now it just says power always to it instead of to it when you have the ignition on. So it makes it a little more dangerous. I'm sure it says somewhere you shouldn't do that, but that's the only way this is gonna work, because I'm not gonna run a third wire all the way up the arm and down back into my skid steer here. So let me get this done real quick. I have to shorten the wires because I'm only going down the distance of maybe a foot instead of like 4 feet of wire. And I need to get my quick connects on. I'll show you that all as soon as I'm done doing that. Now that I've gotten my wire shortened and stripped, I'm gonna go ahead and slip the boot for the quick connect over. Like I said, this is unique to my application. Highly doubt too many of you guys out there are gonna wanna do this. This is simply so that I can connect and disconnect this from my machine, okay? Because I don't always run this setup on my machine. So I'm gonna go ahead, put that on, get it nice far down there, and then tighten it up with an Allen key. All right, so there you have it pretty much. As you can see, I trimmed down the red line. I get a little bit of extra battery cable for something maybe in the future. Trim down the black line. I have my quick connects here giving me power, right? I have to have a quick connect obviously so I can disconnect the machine from the forks, just like the quick connect here down at the actual quick connect plate, the hitch plate. So these just come apart real easy. You just like welding leads. So real simple. Like I said, if you need to do that in this instance, everything works. The only big difference that I did here versus the original schematic was I wired the ignition wire directly to the battery, which is protected by the circuit breaker here. So I'm not too concerned with burning this out because of the circuit breaker, or not having a breaker in between, because we do here. Which is nice because my last one didn't have this and I had to fashion something, which was a huge pain. But as you can see here, she works great, no issues. Yeah, that's basically the whole shebang there. There's the machine. It goes on my case 1816. And yeah, like I said, as you can see, so that's how you wire that up if you're doing it on a quick connect system and you don't want to stretch it out all the way to the ignition. All right, guys, I hope you learned something from that, or it made your install just a little bit easier. This is, like I said, this is a really unique application. It's for one of my side businesses, a little invention of mine. I'll get to that in a different video, but it's the same thing. It's, you know what I'm saying? Instead of, the only difference really is I didn't go to the ignition. I just wired direct to the power source, right to the battery. Go ahead and like my channel, subscribe. Check out my Instagram. I got a lot of cool stuff going on there. Got a lot of cool stuff going on the Facebook. New to YouTube. I'm going to try to upload a few videos a week if I have the time. Being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's very time consuming, everything. Mostly paperwork. I'll also be uploading videos about that, entrepreneurship. Just talking about generally how I got business, get business, and the welding industry in a whole. I know this is a little sidestep from that, but it is still very handy to know how to wire up one of these winches. You know, you never know when you're going to be using one of these on, you know, a multitude of things. You know, you might be doing a mud truck build, what have you. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching.